It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. We take your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. The times they are a-changing, and one thing that is a brand new piece of technology that is causing a lot of headaches for people in Southern California is e-bikes. It's not only the fact that they are a lot more dangerous than a regular bicycle because they can go up to 30 miles an hour unless you know how to really, mess them with them. Then they can go even faster. But you don't need a license to be able to ride one. Teenagers are getting them, and some teenagers are using them to terrorize people. It's happening a lot in LA County, in some of the beach communities like Manhattan Beach and Hermosa Beach, but it's also happening in Orange County. It was happening in an Irvine Park, and there's one city in Orange County, the beautiful city of San Clemente, that is saying, no more. We're going to do something about this. To use a Gavinism, we're going to hold somebody accountable.
Accountability.
So here's my question to you at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. If a rowdy-ass teen does something wrong on an e-bike, whether that's terrorizing somebody, breaking the law, vandalism, causing damage, should the parents be held responsible? Because the parents got them the e-bike. That is what San Clemente is dealing with right now. Do you think parents should be held responsible for the actions of jackass teens on e-bikes? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's get more on this story from KTLA.
And now at 11:30, the city of San Clemente moves to beef up its rules for e-bikes on streets and beach paths. The mayor said the crackdown is necessary as he continues to receive daily complaints about unsafe riders creating hazardous situations on roadways.
KTLA 5's Orange County Bureau Chief Chip Yost live now in San Clemente with more. Chip?
Yeah, hey there, Glenn and Lou. San Clemente is like a lot of other cities. There's a lot of e-bikes around, and with them, unfortunately, a lot of complaints about them. So now the city is taking steps to try to hold parents more responsible for some of those complaints.
You bought your kid the e-bike. You're not spending any time with them, so they're using it to be up to no good. Should the parents be held responsible if a teenager does something bad on an e-bike? 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. There
are many young e-bike riders who do follow the rules and are respectful of others. But as we've seen in Hermosa Beach and elsewhere, there are also many who don't. And in San Clemente, city leaders have been getting an earful about them.
It's just that the volume of emails I get on that issue, I don't know if you get the same way.
I get a lot as well.
They're increasing. The issue I hear most about, and I think I hear about it every day, is that, sort of gangs, they call them, of rogue bikers going down the street.
Yeah, one kid on an e-bike not causing trouble. 10 of them together, it's like a little e-biker gang.
Of rogue bikers going down.
The only thing that's missing is the denim jackets with the logos.
Of rogue bikers going down the street next to cars, doing wheelies down Pico, not obeying the traffic signs.
At a city council meeting Tuesday, the city voted for an ordinance that would not only give sheriff's deputies more tools to go after the violators, but also tools to hold some of the parents of the violators responsible.
I'm just suggesting that the parents, whatever offense the child is involved in, that it involves a fine, a fee, or responsibility, that the parents are responsible for that.
I don't see any reason we can't.
Yeah, I like that. I do like that. Because then if you're going to give your kids one of these e-bikes, you're going to make sure that they are not doing any level of a-holery. because you'll be held responsible for letting your rowdy ass kid ride around in a very dangerous vehicle that for some reason gives teenagers the idea that they can take over everything. I mean, there was a group of e-bikers that straight up mobbed somebody in downtown LA trying to steal his luggage. An innocent bystander got him out of the scrum. What is going on?
Are responsible for that.
I don't see any reason we can't do that. It's actually similar to the way that state law is set up for parents of minors who commit graffiti, for example. It's a strict liability issue. I think in probably many circumstances, it'll be an education point for the parent where, you need to exercise a little more control over your kid.
Now, this was just the first reading of this new ordinance at that meeting. It's expected to come up for a final reading at a future meeting. For now, reporting live here in San Clemente, I'm Chip Yost, KTLA 5 News.
There's the latest out of San Clemente. I want to know how you feel about this. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. E-bikes are a thing. They can go up to 30 miles an hour unless you know what you're doing. Then you can get them to go even faster. It is causing some kids to get totally out of control, bothering people, terrorizing people, committing crimes. If a teenager does something bad on an e-bike, should the parents be held responsible? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's start in Orange County. Let's go to Dave in Rancho Santa Margarita. Dave, hello.
Hey, Randy. Something people need to keep in mind with these e-bikes. So these kids are getting these bikes, and they do what's called a jailbreak. And you mentioned it. They can manipulate the controls with literally clipping a wire or two. And if it's a Suron e-bike that comes from China that retails for upwards of $6,000, they can go 40 to 50 miles per hour and terrorize the neighborhood. And that is very common where I live in Rancho Santa Margarita. And if these parents have $6,000 laying around to buy their kid an e-bike, they certainly can be held financially responsible for the terrorization those bikes present to our community.
I mean, at that point, once you've jailbroken it, I love using that term, that is an unlicensed motorcycle.
Absolutely. And the top of the line ones, they're called a Suron. They look like a motorcycle. And I cannot tell you how many times, whether on Antonio Parkway or the other major thoroughfares there going through Rancho Santa Margarita to Coto de Casa, those kids are doing wheelies in traffic right now, this time frame. So you've got 5 o'clock traffic coming home. They're challenging us in our lanes for driving. And I hate to say it, I've come up behind a few of them and hit the horn, and all they want to do is, as you said, gang up and want to challenge a driver. And I have pulled over and said, come on, let's go. And the first thing they do is they chicken out and they run because they want to go home to mommy and daddy and complain and give a license plate.
Yeah, that's the problem. If there's any kind of altercation because they're a teenager, they've got all the rights in the world. Because it's not classified as a motorcycle, if you accidentally hit the thing, you'd be at fault because they'd be classified as a pedestrian, even though they're the ones being aggressive. It's ridiculous.
Are you saying then that if they're in our lanes of traffic doing these wheelies and they should happen to, let's just say, dart out in front of a car and cause an accident and get hit, are you telling me the driver's going to be put at fault for that?
I wouldn't put it past some jurisdictions, but hopefully that's not the case. But because they're not classified as a motor vehicle, I could see how that could be a thing. Dave, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Morris in Santa Monica. Morris, hello.
Yeah, good afternoon. Absolutely, the parents need to be held accountable for their teenage abuse there. I mean, they're not raised properly, they're not educated, and there's no supervision. Even though they're 18 or 17 years old, there's no supervision. And this goes from a long way back. And the government has no control over this, and they terrorize the neighborhoods and literally get away with it because they're not incarcerated. They're teenagers, and Even the fines, they get fined. The parents pay for it. It's just the cost of doing business. So, yeah, they need to be incarcerated, and more than just for 2 days. I think for a few months on the first offense to put them straight. I don't know what else to tell you.
Well, in LA County, that's not happening anytime soon unless there's a change in leadership at the DA's office, which is possible. Morris, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. The city of San Clemente is considering an ordinance that would hold parents responsible if their rowdy-ass teenagers cause a bunch of havoc on their e-bikes. These e-bikes can go up to 30 miles an hour legally, but as we've heard, it's very easy to hack into them and make them go way faster, which makes them even more dangerous. You don't need a license to drive one of these. And for some reason, when a whole bunch of teenagers get together on these, they think they're a biker gang. 800-222-KABC. Should we hold parents responsible for the actions of rowdy-ass e-bike and teens? Let's go to Millie in Rancho Santa Margarita. Millie, hello.
Hi, how are you? I was listening to Dave from my own city, and he was absolutely right. These bikers go on major streets, they pop wheelies, they're laughing at the drivers, they are going so fast, and they just dart in front of you. I myself almost hit a kid, and then even at night, they know you're coming, and they do it on purpose as a dare. And I said, one of these days, somebody's going to get killed. These bikes were established for seniors who can go one way or can't go up a hill, and then they can come down the hill. But now they're giving it to all their teenage kids, and it's like giving them a motorcycle without a helmet. I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
I was about to ask you,
the parents,
Millie,
parents
I was about to ask you, none of these kids are wearing helmets, are they?
No. They're on a motorcycle without a helmet. Because that's exactly what they're doing. They're going 30 miles an hour, and they're popping wheelies and riding in the middle of major streets in our town. And
you know that kind of dangerous behavior, as distracting as it can be, and when you're popping into lanes, that is going to cause an accident somewhere. Somebody is going to get hurt somewhere. People have been hurt by this.
Somebody's going to die. Somebody is going to die. There's no doubt. They do it a lot at night. Why are these kids out at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock on a school night? That's ridiculous. And I agree. Parents need to be responsible. They need to pay.
Yeah, they got to be held accountable for this. Millie, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. 2 calls out of Rancho Santa Margarita. Orange County is fired up today. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. San Clemente is considering an ordinance that would hold parents accountable if their teenagers are causing havoc on e-bikes. These things are getting a little out of control. They're completely unregulated. They're practically motorcycles, except none of the laws and licensing. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Should parents be held accountable for the rowdy actions of e-bike and teens? It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC. The city of San Clemente is considering an ordinance that would hold the parents accountable if their kids cause havoc on e-bikes. If the e-bikes have been terrorizing your neighborhood, I want to hear about it. 800-222-KABC. Do you think parents should be held responsible for it? Let's go to Sylvia in Venice. Sylvia, hello.
Hi. I absolutely agree with what you said. And I think we should go a little further and also have the parents liable for all those kids who are breaking into the liquor stores and the stores and stealing merchandise. Parents have to be liable.
Oh, you're totally right about that. And I would go a little further. If these things can go as fast as they can go legally, let alone when they illegally modify it, and they can cause these kinds of accidents are way up.
Yes.
Maybe you have to carry insurance to be able to ride one of these things, because this is not a bicycle.
True. Parents need to be parents. You brought them to this world. So you have to be responsible for your children up until they're 18. And if you're going around robbing at 18, then treat them like an adult. You know, that's all you can do. But parents have to be responsible. That's how I feel.
There you go, Sylvia. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Morgan in Huntington Beach. Morgan, hello.
Yes, I actually, as I'm waiting for you guys, I actually just got cut off by an e-bike, and as I honked at him for jetting across 4 lanes, he decided to give me the finger.
What an a-hole!
It's gotten pretty bad. Yeah. I know a kid here in Huntington, actually even, I think, died last summer on an e-bike down on the boardwalk. PD around here seems to not want to do anything about it. I've given the excuse it's a gray area. A lot of these kids are in big groups. My mom is an incomplete quad, and she was on her way to an appointment, and they had the whole LPC8 going towards Newport shut down the intersection as they're giving everybody finger, bouncing off of cars, everything else. And all she's trying to do is get to an appointment. I firmly believe all these parents should be held accountable.
Yeah, if your kid is causing havoc, disrupting people's days, causing super dangerous situations, and flipping people off, I want those parents' pictures on billboards because they raised this.
Correct. I mean, this is what, a lot of these people, they don't want to take accountability for anything, and their kids are acting the same way. I mean, I would love to embarrass all those parents and have them up on billboards and everything else for their kids' actions.
Oh, yeah. Morgan, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Sometimes if the laws aren't tough enough to really, really make the parents feel it, because we're talking about a lot of well-to-do neighborhoods where they can obviously afford to buy a $6,000 e-bicycle. So what's a $1,000 fine really going to do? Public shaming is always great. This medium was built on public shaming. Let's go to Leslie in Coto de Caza. Leslie, hello.
Hey, Randy. How are you? Love your show.
Thank you.
I am out here in Coto de Caza, as some of the other callers, very close to Rancho Santa Margarita, and it is the exact same thing. The problem with this area is it's a small little gated community, and there's a single road basically going around the whole area. So they'll get right in front of you. You can't go into another lane because there is no other lane. And then they'll go flip wheelies, go slow. So my new tactic is slowing down, rolling down my window, talking to them, following them home. And they get out of there so quickly. But I've got video after video of them cussing, flipping me off. It's just horrible.
Oh, boy. You know what? You've got so much video. You might need to start a Instagram account, e-biking jackasses of Orange County.
That's absolutely right. I don't do social media, but if I did, I would. So, yeah, I even have one of the addresses of, these parents, and I didn't say anything yet, but they know I know where they live.
I like that. You're installing the fear into these kids because right now they feel like they're fearless, but as soon as there's the possibility of consequences, the tail goes right under the legs.
Absolutely, absolutely. I hope it changes. They were supposed to, quote unquote, outlaw them or regulate them or do something out here in this little area, but it's only gotten worse.
Yeah, these things need to be regulated ASAP. Leslie, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Oh, let's go real quick back to Dave in Rancho Santa Margarita who called back. Dave, hello.
Hey, Randy. So literally when I got off the phone from you, I pulled into my parking lot grocery shopping, and there's an Orange County sheriff. And I immediately pulled over and started asking him questions about this subject matter. According to the sheriff, the Sur-Ron bike is classified as an M1 vehicle and does require registration, such as a motorcycle. They are illegal on the streets. I then asked him, well, what if one of these kids who is driving in our lanes, pulling these wheelies, God forbid, what if they pulled out and got into an accident? Are we, the drivers, going to be held responsible? And he told me, as long as there's evidence or witnesses that will corroborate the fact that they were doing something illegal, the rider will be held responsible, the bike will be impounded immediately for a minimum of 30 days, and yes, the parents would be held liable.
That is really great information. Gosh, thank you so much for doing all that homework for us, Dave. I really appreciate it. Yeah, enforcement's got to go way up on these things, and I don't like that these things are able to share the road when they can go as fast as a car in some situations, and the kids aren't even wearing helmets. How do we not enforce that? If they're classified as an M1, shouldn't they have to wear a helmet? You have to for a motorcycle. Oh, my. We're going to keep going here. If you want to weigh in, 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. City of San Clemente is crafting an ordinance that would hold parents accountable for the havoc actions of e-biking teens. Your thoughts? 800-222-KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. We take your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. The city of San Clemente in Orange County is considering an ordinance that would hold parents responsible if their kids, teenagers, cause havoc on e-bikes. E-bikes are new technology. They go as fast as 30 miles an hour legally, but it's very easy to break into these things and make them go way faster. You don't have to wear a helmet. You don't have to carry insurance. We've had several reports of these kids popping wheelies in the lanes of traffic, causing all kinds of havoc, harassing people. So do you think parents should be held accountable for this? 800-222-KABC. Let's start with Joey in the City of Industry. Joey, hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing great.
So I don't think so. And let me tell you why. Because the state of California has legislated that we cannot know what our children do in the most precious time of the day when they're at school. If they want to identify as a turtle, we cannot know that they're identified as a turtle. And what does the turtle do? And that's the reason that I say no, because the state of California, they've taken parental responsibilities away from the parent. And taking away the most gifted thing that you have as a parent is to raise and to know your children. And by doing that one move, no, parents cannot be responsible because we cannot be responsible for what happens during the day.
There you go, Joey. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Bill in Irvine. Bill, hello.
Hey, Randy. I think it's obviously with most acts of minors, their parents are probably ultimately going to be responsible. However, I think the more important thing is you've got these kids running around or riding around without helmets and doing all kinds of crazy behavior in and out of the traffic. Sooner or later, one of them is going to get hit and badly injured or killed. And the parent that, stupid parents, stupid kids equals a bad result. So what you're going to have is with the sales of these things going gangbusters right now. Everyone's getting into these e-bikes, and they're weaving in and out of traffic and doing crazy things. Listen, that's just a recipe for disaster. So when one of these kids gets killed, maybe these stupid parents will realize maybe it's not so good to let Johnny go run around weaving in and out of traffic, pulling wheelies and doing crazy things. That's not what those bikes were intended for. They were intended to be a replacement for a bicycle to go places, to ride to school or ride to the store, not to be doing crazy things. So just a matter of time. One of them will get killed, and then the parent will realize the giant mistake they made, and maybe other parents will get the message.
I sure hope it doesn't have to come to that, but that might be the catalyst that gets some new laws changed, because what's going on right now, there's no regulation for these things. Bill, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. I don't understand how there's no licensing for this, for something that is this close to a motorcycle. You got to take a licensing test for a moped. At least then you would know who's riding them. They could be held accountable that way. But the fact that you can ride these things willy-nilly in and out of traffic without a helmet, that is wildly dangerous. Let's go to Jesse and Marietta. Jesse, hello.
Yes. I don't know what the rules are with these, but I wouldn't let my child drive one because they are very dangerous. I think a young kid on these bikes is just the way I've seen them. They're out of control. Some of them. Some are good drivers. Don't get me wrong. I've seen some, but some I've seen like, wow. If their parents knew what they were doing, they'd probably be fairly surprised. But there was something that I seen. Actually, it's kind of ironic that I just seen just the other day, and it just really stayed on my mind. There was a gentleman on a wheelchair on the sidewalk, and and I'd seen this guy, this I think it was two kids on an e-bike. I was driving. I was going about 45. They're probably going about 25, just driving. And then I went up maybe about 50 yards or so, and I seen this this gentleman on a wheelchair. And sure enough, this bike hit this gentleman in a wheelchair on the sidewalk. I drove up farther, but making a roundabout here in the city takes about a half an hour. So by the time I actually got back, there was everybody around him and everything. He was being taken care of, and I thought that was pretty bad. But anyway, on the low-level crimes, I'm not talking about just e-bikes. What I think they really need to do something, because I think a lot of kids are kind of like taking things for granted nowadays. It wasn't that way growing up here in Orange County, LA, when I was a young kid. Personally, I think young kids back when I was growing up here were very responsible. I mean, it wouldn't be hard to say like a grown-up would be walking down the street and seeing you do something bad. They would chew you out. I remember being chewed out a few times, and I'm glad they did that because I did learn. But what I think they should do is low-level crimes, build like a detention center or kind of like a juvenile hall right next to a prison. Put these young kids and say, you know what? If you don't straighten out, this is where you're going to go. You need to learn that life is just, it'll kick your butt if you don't take care of it as a young kid. I think people are not taking care of their young kids the way they should. I do, and I try. Don't get me wrong. My kids are not perfect. I did the best I could to raise them, and they've done pretty well. But I see a lot of young kids that are kind of like, you know what? I think it would be a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that story. That is wild. Jesse, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Yeah, when an e-biking teen is crashing into someone in a wheelchair because they're riding on... So if you're riding on the sidewalk, you could crash into somebody in a wheelchair. You're riding in the streets, you're popping wheelies in front of traffic. This just seems so dangerous. And you know what? Teenagers do reckless things, and they end up getting hurt. I mean, probably every single one of us had a bicycle, did something stupid on it, maybe trying to do a trick, maybe trying to pop a wheelie, maybe trying to stand on the back of it, who knows? And maybe you fell, maybe you skinned your elbow, maybe even dislocated something. But that's because a bicycle, you're going like, 10 miles an hour at the fastest? These e-bikes can go up to 30. If you jailbreak it, 40 plus miles an hour. You could do some real damage. So at the very least, why is there no helmet law? Let's go to Jake in Hacienda Heights. Jake, hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing great.
So my main point would be if you do that to all the kids, sooner or later, you're going to have to do that to all the older people riding the bikes too. You're going to have all this bureaucracy with getting licenses for older people, getting insurance for older people. And after listening to all these calls, maybe there should be a limit, an 18-year-old limit, because there are a lot of kids who just don't get slapped upside the head nowadays like they should. But they should definitely not have to have any kind of license or anything like that. That's at least what I believe.
Well, it's a fair point. If you had to be 18 to ride them, that would knock out a lot of this nonsense. Jake, thanks so much for the call and the perspective. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. 1-800-222-5222. The city of San Clemente is considering an ordinance that would hold parents accountable for the actions of e-biking teens. What do you think? It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's get back to the phones and go to Greg in Fullerton. Greg, hello.
Hi there. No one's brought up the fact that the biggest pain would be to confiscate their bikes after like 3 strikes. You got 3 tickets, you lose your bike.
I like that. That's a simple one.
Yeah. And I do believe that they should be, given a ticket like anybody on the road. They're supposed to have all these things. If you're driving even a bicycle, you got to get a license for the bike.
And I think we do. We take the ones that we confiscate, and they don't get them back. We give them to somebody in need who's got a responsible driving record. There you go, Craig. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Mary in Orange. Mary, hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
Doing great.
Good. I work in Irvine, and what the police department does there when the kids are cited for doing something crazy, they have to go to traffic school, and the parents have to go with them and sit through the 8-hour class.
Oh, I like that. See, this is why so many people want to move to Irvine. It is such a well-run city.
Yeah, I thought that was a great idea.
That's brilliant. Mary, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Hey, look at this. 790 KABC welcomes Bonnie Raitt to the Pacific Amphitheater on September 14th. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. But right now, call in number 9 at 1-888-790-5222. Gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by the Pacific Amphitheater. Good luck dialing. More of your calls coming up. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's go to San Clemente. Brian in San Clemente. Hello. Brian.
Oh, yeah. Hey, this is Brian. Hey, yeah, you know what, Randy? Listen, there's a lot of these kids are all little hellions out there on these bikes. And I'm quite impressed by the wheelies they can pull and hang forever. But truthfully, they're a menace. And I think the best way to handle it is to confiscate the bike, give them a ticket, and let their parents go to court. And then the punishment should be that both the kid and the parent, have to clean up the beaches on a weekday. So make the dad or the mom take a day off, get down there, clean up the beaches or the streets, all the trash. And I guarantee you that kid won't be causing any more trouble.
Oh, I love that one. That sounds great. Brian, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. That and what Irvine is apparently doing with the parent and the kid got to go to traffic school. Great ideas. Orange County, getting a little jealous. Let's go to Mark in Valley Village. Mark, hello.
Hi, hello. I feel like there should be a helmet law that over a certain miles per hour in each individual city could decide what the speed limit is. That way the law enforcement could give tickets. If something happens with the driver hitting a kid that doesn't have a helmet, they're not liable, and the parent is then responsible for what happens to their child. That's my feeling.
Yeah, we got to. And if we find one that is going faster than what they're supposed to go, then we got to have a law for illegally modifying these vehicles, because that makes these things even more unsafe. Thanks so much for the call, Mark. Appreciate it. We're working all day long to try to slow down cars, but how about we slow down these incredibly dangerous vehicles that don't have a suit or armor around them the way a car does? Let's go to Ralph in Van Nuys. Ralph, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Oh, okay. So my idea is not just the e-bikes, by the way. All these two wheels on the road, other than motorcycles, of course. Whether it's e-bikes or scooters or I've even seen people skateboard on the road on the side. All these need to abide by the road rules. It's a privilege to use the road, meaning you have to have enough lights. You have to be fast enough, up to speed. And if you don't have that, something has to be done about it.
Yeah, we definitely got to level the playing field when it comes to safety standards and all these things. Ralph, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. If you'd like to email us, you can always do so at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. Roger wants to go even further. Roger says parents must be held responsible of our crimes no matter what age the perp is. I don't care if he's 30 years old. The parents must be held responsible for all crimes. In fact, the parents should be locked in the same cell as their evil spawn. Oh, wow. And Penny writes in at randykabc@gmail.com. Yes, I think the parents should be held responsible, then watch how the problem magically goes away. Well, we got a lot of great ideas. I think Orange County is coming up with some possible solutions. But yeah, these things have got to be regulated. The fact that you can jailbreak them and make them go way faster than they were supposed to, that's a huge problem. The fact that there is not a helmet law for something that is, in all means, a motorcycle, that's insane. That is so dangerous. We didn't get to the report, but injuries on these things are way up. Although, interestingly enough, Injuries are mostly up on the adults that are riding these things, and I think I know why. It's because people buy these things, they get drunk, and they ride them around the neighborhood. Don't do that. Hey, if you ever miss an episode of this show, you can download the podcast. I would really appreciate it. Getting a follow on there helps our search rankings and all that fun stuff. So go to kabc.com/newsblitz, or if you're on the Apple Podcast app, search for KABC News Blitz. Give us a follow, give us a subscribe. If there is a podcast app that you use and you can't find the News Blitz on it, let me know. Email me at randykabc@gmail.com and I'll get management right on it. Thank you all so much for being a part of this show. It is a dream come true to do this every single day, and we made it to the end of the week, which means tomorrow is a happy hour Friday. We're going to be talking cheap eats and taking your phone calls. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow for a happy hour news blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC.